Good morning, it's Vaughan at westcoastbellpottery.ca in Nova Scotia, Canada. I'm going to be throwing on my squeaky wheel, so for the rest of this video I'm going to just overdub the audio so you don't have to listen to the squeaky wheel. It's an old Brent and it's 35 years old and it works great except for it squeaks occasionally. But anyway, it is a stormy day today, high winds, and it's the, fall is here and we're getting to the freezing temperatures pretty soon. But I'll show you some quick pictures of the garden because it's pretty nice out there, even though it's really windy. Amazingly, this is November 9th and I still have flowers in the garden here. We haven't had a killing frost yet, but as you can see, my flowers are still pretty good and the leaves are green. So I even have petunias down here flowering, which is really amazing. That plant was from 2 years ago. I saved it last winter, so I should probably give it a break and bring it indoors tonight. It's actually done really well. They're supposed to die at the end of every season, but anyway, no complaints over the weather this year. We had a really good, nice fall, beautiful summer, no hurricanes. I'm going to make some canisters with some lids, and I'm going to play around with forms a little bit. So I'll just talk about it while I'm throwing on the wheel, and if you have any questions, just let me know. It's the November 9th today. This is the kind of day that we get used to in the fall here, where it's really windy. Today we'll literally drive every leaf off every tree. It's so windy, and then we'll really be in it for winter. It's always very sad. My bushes are all brown, having had a really spectacular fall. I guess we shouldn't complain, but everything is just blowing a gust out there at the moment. So, and my new studio up there is another wood stove running in it, so it's staying warm. And I was varnishing more shelves this morning, and I'll tidy it up tomorrow and do you a little video of what it looks like. I'm going to trim the pieces now. They are what I call total leather hard, because I can't pull a piece off, you know, and it's not plastic anymore. It just breaks off as you pull a piece. So it's perfect for trimming. Softer than that, you know, you end up with a little bit too much disfiguring. You can push the wall in a little bit, and harder than that, you'll blunt your tools too quick. But anyway, so this is a Giffen grip. You can use lumps of clay around your piece to hold it, or you can use a chuck. A chuck is like this, and then you can actually put pieces of clay around this, hold it to the actual surface of the wheel, and then put your pieces inside, and they're perfectly centered every time. But anyway, this is a Giffen grip. So I simply, because I put a foot on when I'm throwing, smooth it off a little bit. I like to put a little indent inside the foot so it can glaze a little bit in there. Put a couple of lines in because I'll do some chattering on these. Let's see what tools we have. We've got a sort of rounded edge square end. It's got sharp edges on both sides, but I need to sharpen it a little bit, so I use this little thing from Lee Valley. Okay, let's see if we can get a angled one. Oh yeah, that's nice. It's subtle, so I'd have to glaze very thinly. Let's see what happens if I do it a second time, get any deeper, because the clay is leather hardened, so it may actually, that feels like it's doing it a bit better. Yeah, we got a little deeper that time. And then I'll use the square end at the top. Obviously that did a lot better. The clay's a bit softer probably just there. So that's why that was a little deeper and easier to do. Just straighten up my line thing again. This one doesn't need it. It's done just nicely. So I'm going to be doing trimming and chattering on all these canisters, and a little bit I'll show you on the lids as well. So the top needs something there, I would say. And I'm also possibly going to do some fluting on these too. There's the square end. I don't think it needs sharpening, but let's see. Doing a good job? Yes, it was. So that, and then I'm going to do a little bit of fluting on these. I'll show you that afterwards. This is done with a potato peeler, and they have smooth edge and serrated edge, and my smooth edge is a little blunt at the moment, so I'm just going to use the textured serrated edge. I'm not sure if it'll work. This foot is a bit narrow for there, so let's just try it right on there. I like to do that so I don't have to, I can get the angle a bit better. Put my thumb underneath so I don't go too far. This one I can. Try and get a bit higher. It fits inside there just nicely. Sometimes I do it by just coming off mid kind of carve. And then I would turn it upside down. I need a bigger roll of duct tape. And then I do it in between each one. So I will be working on all of these. So I'll put you on stop motion again. I don't know why, but I just kind of feel like it's a bit extra work, but I was just going to try to do a little extra. On these. Sometimes a little inspiration hits you and you have no idea what it will do, but you just try it. If you only make one piece, it's kind of hard to decide to do something you've never done before on it because you don't know if it's going to ruin the piece. But I have 22 of these, I guess, so it doesn't matter if I ruin one. You know what, it's an architectural looking feature in my opinion there. Don't know if that's working or not. I kind of like it. But that's, I was thinking I could carve out, but that's a lot of extra carving too. Pricing pottery is really hard, and every time you add something to something, that's a bit of extra time. So you have to kind of figure out, is it worth it? And if you're in a hurry to get to an art show or something, then you may not have time to do playful things anyway. But if you can find the time, playing is often the way you design or come up with something totally different that you've never done before. And if it sells, you make 2 of them the next time, and then you make 4 of them after that when they sell. And then I don't have a brush here, I'm just gonna, so you can see what it did. This is leather hard clay, so the crumbly bits just fall right off. Couldn't do this if the clay was a bit soft, because it would just stick and give you a burr. It worked out pretty nice. I don't have to carve the bits. I could, if I wanted to put even more time, carve the bits around there that I just, identified them as a little area, but we've got enough texture on this piece. Now I have to make some small knobs for my jaws here, some of which will become Galdek keepers, I think. I'm not sure about that yet, but all I do is I round a ball and then I smooth it off top and bottom, so you've got a fat body, and then basically you can choose which side to make the head. It's very quick and very simple. Remembering some birds have bigger heads than other birds. Pigeons have kind of small heads. Crows have a fairly decent sized head, so decide what bird you want to make. And then you just basically use your fingers. Age-old technique from prehistoric times to today. You can get a picture of a bird if you don't know what a bird kind of looks like, if you have trouble visualizing it. Some people visualize things really easy, some people need a picture in front of them. So this is taking me about a minute to actually do. And you can spend longer on it, you can make a really, really nice bird, but that's a basic bird that you can put as a knob on your piece. I don't really have to do too much to get inspiration here, because all I have to do is look out the window. Knobs are very easy to do. You don't really have to pull a wall or anything, so it's just a matter of making sure your clay is centered. You're making a little cone, which you normally do if you're coning anyway. And then you sort of shape the top of the knob. Make sure that there's no hollow hole there, so it's a good idea to squeeze it like that and make make sure there's no hole or hollow area right on the top. And then you just make the knob size that you want like that. And then you use your fingers, you can use your little fingers, they dry really quick on this, so make sure you've got plenty of water there, and you simply push in as tall as you want the knob to be. It dries super quick, so you don't want any friction, otherwise it will snap off too early. And just look at it, see whether it's a bit too overpowering. Remember, I like to get a grasp it really well, and then I chop it off so that there's a little bit like it goes in and then comes back out, because then if I chop it off where it's going out, just beyond there, you get a nice bit of clay that you can push down onto the lid of your piece. So I'll make sure that the pin is wet too. There you go, and then you can lift it up with the pin and you have that shape there. Okay, trimming these, I just use a yogurt carton. You could throw yourself a little chuck, but a yogurt carton is the right size for the lid. And I've had to let them get a little past the hardness to put the knob on. So after I trim, I will have to wet it down a little bit in the center, which is always a little dodgy. You've got to be careful doing that because you can make it crack if you get them too dry and then wet them down. And these I'm going to put a little groove there to identify the shattering. And then again, I think I'll do it just there. So I can do something just in that area there. It was going a little off the center there, it slipped on the yogurt carton. So I will just redefine that where it slipped over. You can hardly notice it anyway. You could have a double line there. Just make sure there's no rough area, just drag that up it. And then all I mean is I've got to basically wet where I'm going to do the join. So I'm just wetting that center area there a little bit. So over the next couple of minutes, that will soak into that area. And while that's soaking in, I can trim some more. Here's our knob. This is very soft because I just threw it. So I can put it in the middle, the inner line there. I'm pressing, so I'm getting rid of the little spiral a little bit up there. And then you find yourself a little wooden tool. And you simply, as it's turning, carve it down a little bit. So you know you've got some of that over, spreading out clay that's now smudged into the lid. And then you can just use your paintbrush if you want to kind of do that. And when it's wet up there, you can just wet it, and then you can simply straighten it up so it doesn't go up and down. And that's it. So that's how to apply a knob. A nice grouping of birds, which I'm going to apply to 2 canisters. So this is nice and slippy now. So I'm simply scoring the bottom of this one. These are so soft that I don't need to do much to these. You know, we can sit it on there. Make sure he's kind of in the right place. What I'm talking about, you can lift these up with your finger under like that, so it becomes easier to lift up, because these are quite slippy. But in this case I was actually going to join some extras on top, so we've got birds sitting on top of each other. I have actually done up to 3 of these on top of each other at a time, but it gets too much, so just going to do 2 this time. It's kind of an interesting knob. That one's leaning over a bit, so just push it up. Lapping so far now, I'm going to trim the edge a little bit. So what we have now. It's a little loose this time, so I'm going to leave that. And it's going to shrink more as well, so we'll end up with Oh, I didn't put a spiral on that. No, let's go for it. A late time spiral.